This morning. I don't know what's going on with the video there. Angela, do you want to try talking so we can make sure we can at least hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Good. All right, then. No need to see me at all. Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
So this morning we'll be talking about CARES Act updates and school nutrition. Superintendent, is there anything you want to kick us off with?
Just want to say it is a short work week, knowing that we had Memorial Weekend, and I so appreciate everyone's attention. We do have some understanding with the CARES dollars, and then just a reflection on what happened with nutrition and what might be working going forward in our summer months with school nutrition with our expert, Christine Emerson. So with that, let's continue.
Yep, I think we have Ken and Jay up first. I think Jay's on the phone, so Christy might have to unmute him. But Ken and Jay.
Let me lead off by saying that, we, from the point that we've published all the guidance that we've got and the amount of allocation out to all of the districts on our website, and we did change that website a little bit, I think we mentioned last time. Really, I've only had one inquiry that has come in kind of questioning, so where did these numbers come from? Are you sure this is correct and everything? So far, again, I think that it's been pretty clear, I hope. And as I said, I've only had one inquiry. I think that from this point, it's a matter of getting into actually completing the e-grants application and certifications that school districts will have to make to get into e-grants and questions that might come out of that. But with that as an introduction, I'll let Jay talk about opening up e-grants.
Good morning, everybody. So the application itself, I would say, is 100% complete. It's just still in the test environment. We are actually adding a couple things that into the system based on some discussions we had this morning to ensure that we meet federal compliance related to the administration of the funds. And so we're working on those, but have the final checklist and everything completed early this afternoon. At that point, we'll go ahead and roll it over into the production environment. And then there are some financial things in the background that we need to set up so that the system knows where to pay the money from into our state accounting system. But again, I think we'll have a substantially completed application by the end of the day. We still won't open it up until Monday, but tomorrow that'll still give us an opportunity to go in there and just do some final review. But moving along good. I think our team did really good. MTW, our vendor, helped out a lot, and just internally OPI pulled together really in an excellent manner, and we were able to get it completed. So.
Thanks,
that's
Jay.
all I have.
Ken, anything else you want to add on to that?
Again, just emphasizing that what school districts will see when they go in is that we ended up having to break this into two grants, really. One is the money that is being allocated directly to LEAs, plus the amount that we took from the set aside to make sure that everybody got at least $10,000. And then the other grant is the way it'll appear in e-grants will be for the $3 million that we allocated for related services. We had tried to get that into a consolidated application, but ran into so many problems that we backed up and made it two grants. But the administration of those grants will be, pretty straightforward, I believe.
Thanks, Ken. And we're having a Zoom call with district and county superintendents on Monday at 10:30 that you were all invited to. And we welcomed the superintendents to share that information with their business clerks or whoever runs e-grants. So that call is Monday at 10:30 and you're all invited. Any questions for Ken or Jay? Or comments? Like I said, we haven't received many reach outs on this in general. Kirk, Dennis, Lance, are you guys hearing anything from your members, or is it pretty quiet?
So this is Kirk, and there's conversations in most every mass regional meeting about, when and how the distribution is going to happen. And so I missed the very beginning of the call. Is the intent to distribute right after the June 1, the Zoom meeting with superintendents?
I believe so. It should be ready to go that day, right, Ken and Jay?
Yeah, so it'll be open on Monday. The only issue I'd say that we got to make sure we clearly communicate is the timing of when payments will go out. The time frame that we actually hold the application open, I'm assuming is probably going to be 2 to 4 weeks. And then in July, like I kind of conveyed last time, because of fiscal year end, we can't make any distributions, direct distributions to the schools until after the 24th. And so they will be available at the end of July where they'll physically receive monies.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful information, and that's probably in the guidance that will be provided on Monday. So that those are the kinds of questions that I'm getting. When is the money going to be available? When will it be distributed? When will we have access to it? And how will we, have to go through the process? And I've been, describing that it's e-grants process and that it's almost ready, and so it'll be good to have that information in front of our folks. And then just the equitable services distribution. There's still much controversy around following the Secretary's guidance on that issue and our intent. So the question is, have we reached out to all through county superintendents of all the non-publics, and do we know what the allocation is for those that have requested funding in the non-public schools?
Let me take a shot at this. The reach out to all of the private schools for the calculation is done by the school district. Jack O'Connor, who's our Title I director, and for the equitable services for Title I, he is the ombudsman, who is the place that private schools can go to if they feel that the process isn't being done equitably. Has been in communication with private schools, had sent a communication out to all of the school districts, again, explaining you have to go through this process and giving them the tools to do that. So again, it isn't that we reach out and determine what that allocation should be. It is done by each school district.
Yeah, and that's why we can't come up with an exact estimate on what the change is going to be with the current guidance. So we can certainly talk more about that on this call if you want. We at the OPI have not received any reach out pro or con on the change in equitable services. I mean, Ken, Jay, have you received any from superintendents?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yes, certainly I have heard concerns about the way the distribution is, and it was my understanding that in April, about mid-April, that there was a reach out to the county superintendents to check with all non-publics in the county about their wanting access to the ESSER funds as they were to be distributed. Is that correct or not?
There was a communication sent out. It went through Jay, I believe.
No, it went from Jack.
Or from Jack,
yeah.
sorry, Jack, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so Sam, has the county superintendents as part of an affiliate of our association too. So I'm pretty well aware that that message went to county superintendents and that they were to be checking with all non-publics, and that there was a required 10 days for a certified letter from all non-publics that wish to participate in the equitable services distribution. Is that correct?
Yeah, and what I'm a little confused about, Kurt, is I know that I will say that there was one district that reached out to me and said, I don't know which private schools are within my district. And I referred them to Jack, who kind of went back to them and said, well, your authorized rep knows because we've done this in the past. So when you say it's just the county superintendent that's reaching out, again, each district needs to be involved with this. This process isn't done on a county basis. Each district needs to make the arrangements with the private schools in their boundary for what equitable services will be.
Okay, then it would be my opinion, from having talked to many, that there are school districts and superintendents that are not aware of that.
Okay.
The communication went out to district superintendents too, didn't it, Ken?
I thought it did, but I wish Jack
should
was
have.
here. So
I know, that's hard to put Jack on the spot.
I don't know why it would have just went to county superintendents, but we can track that down.
right, we can clarify that, Kirk.
Okay, that's appreciated. I think then that also needs to be a part of the explanation to superintendents, because again, my opinion, and I've been to many of the regional meetings, would be that there isn't real clarity for district superintendents on equitable services in that distribution. There is with county superintendents, very well aware of what they've been working on.
And Kirk, what I can tell you for sure is that in the e-grants calculation, in the e-grants application, there is a page for doing the equitable services calculation. And that page exists for every school district.
And this will be discussed on Monday. And like I said, we'll track down that communication. If it didn't go to district superintendents, we'll send it. But my understanding was it was going to district superintendents.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else on that topic before we jump into nutrition? All right, Chris Emerson, our school nutrition director, is going to give us an overview of how nutrition has gone in light of COVID and what it might look like over the summer and next year. So Chris, you're up.
So, would I be able to share my screen?
You should be able to. Try clicking the green button.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Great, we can see it. Thanks.
So, in mid-March, we, when the schools closed, we worked very fast and hard to sign up 151 of our 253 school food authorities on the summer food service program. The summer program is the program that the USDA uses to feed children when school is out. So we needed to switch them from National School Lunch to the summer program. And we needed to do that all at once. So those that were eligible and wanted to continue to serve meals, we got them all switched over to the summer program. Some of our sponsors that were not eligible stayed on the National School Lunch program. They were able to serve meals if they were doing distance learning and be reimbursed for those. But we switched most over to the summer program if we could, because the reimbursement is higher with that program. 85 of our sponsors that we switched over were new to the summer program. So they did very well with switching to a different program because they are familiar with the National School Lunch program anyway. So it was pretty easy for them to make the switch, and the summer program doesn't look anything now like it traditionally does anyway. We did a lot of training and technical assistance in the beginning. The first few weeks were extremely busy. So for meals served in March, all of our sponsors did claim meals in March with the traditional National School Lunch program, but the meals served were right around half, which makes sense because schools were closed for half the month. In April, 69 of our sponsors did still serve meals through the National School Lunch Program, but there were very few meals served. The total value of the claims was not even $400,000. It was pretty small for the National School Lunch Program. So very few meals. But with the summer program, we served a lot of meals. So for a month and a half with the summer food service program, we served almost 2 million meals, which is way more than we normally serve. These 3 bars, they're from the past 3 years summer programs for the total meals served for 3 months, June, July, and August. And in 1 month and a half, we surpassed that, and we still have 4 months to go with summer. So we will serve a lot of summer meals this year. So they seem to be doing pretty well with making, our schools did an amazing job making the switch to summer and making the switch to serving meals in a safe way. Most of them are doing curbside pickup, like at bus stops or at other places that make sense. And they're also doing home delivery when they can and when it makes sense. I talked with the superintendent at Lockwood Public Schools, and he shared some information about what they are doing. They have averaged 1,000 meals per day, which is a lot. They're a pretty big food service operation, but they're making it work really well. The food service staff just all over the state have been very creative in finding the best way to serve their children in their community. And they have all said that loosening the federal regulations with all of the waivers have really helped. We have applied for and been approved for a lot of waivers for flexibility with our programs. I do have down on this page all of the waivers that we're currently using. And it was a lot of changes with the programs all at once. So we needed to become familiar with the changes with the programs and let the sponsors know about the changes with the programs right away so they could easily make the switch. Like with the area eligibility change, the sponsors before March 31st needed to serve meals in areas that were 50% or more free and reduced. After then, we could approve them for an area eligibility waiver. We had about 40 sites that were approved this way. They didn't meet the area eligibility, but they were able to serve meals and be reimbursed. That worked really well until the end of the school year. Some of our schools continued to use that, and then once school, they did close down school and decided to not serve meals anymore for the summer. We have about 10. We've applied for an extension for this waiver, so it's still pending. About 10 of our sites still want to use this area eligibility waiver through the summer. But with Lockwood also, they are considering for the next school year, they have like a plan A, plan B, plan C. They're not really sure what it will look like yet, and that's what I've heard from some other schools, that they're planning and thinking about what they're going to do, but they'll probably do a hybrid like they were doing before school ended, serving bag meals and maybe doing meals in the classroom, maybe altering days when students are coming to school. So they're still working things out that way. He said that they have the bag meals down to a fine art, that they're even able to find a way to put sloppy joes into a bag and make it work. So that's great. Our schools are serving meals that the students are familiar with and like, and that they're fun. They're not just sandwiches every day. He really appreciates that the food service staff, like the food service staff I've heard of all over the state, they're very flexible and doing all they can to provide meals to the children and, you know, bringing some normalcy to their lives with, you know, seeing familiar faces and getting them meals. Also, yesterday, Louise Chandler, she is the food service director in Knoxon School. She did a show that she was on a panel about hunger in Montana, and she explained really well about how they made the switches to bag meals, and also how they're thinking about entering into the next school year with still maybe serving bag meals into the classroom. And I have a recording here. I did provide this document if people want to look up more information about the approved waivers or listen to this recording of the show about hunger in Montana. We have been providing a lot of webinar trainings, and we also have a weekly chat where people can ask questions, and we'll continue to do those and throughout the summer and into the fall as we continue to shift into what we're doing. We're planning for summer now, and we're going to continue summer the same way we're doing now. We have waiver extensions through the end of August, so we'll continue to provide curbside delivery and home delivery, and we're going to do desk audits. We applied for a waiver also for monitoring during the summer. Since we had so many new sites, we're supposed to monitor every new sponsor, and that would have been around, we figured, 90 reviews during the summer, and we thought that was impossible. We have it down to, our request is for 40. We haven't heard yet if we will be able to keep it down to that and do desk audits. We want to make it as easy as possible for our sponsors and not take too much of their time, but we are still required to monitor them. And then we're preparing for the next school year with resources on food safety, menu ideas for serving in the classroom, anything to help them start up the next school year with whatever it looks like. And I do have some more data, more numbers with March and April's data that I will send after this meeting. So that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate everything that you and your staff have done. An amazing job of shifting the way that we serve school foods almost overnight. And you guys were very helpful with that. Are there any questions for Chris Emerson or any discussions in general around school nutrition? All right, that was the last agenda item on our agenda. Is there any other topics that anyone would like to bring up? All right, Superintendent, any next steps or?
Just next steps. We're looking to have a very successful deployment of the CARES dollars so that we can get them out to schools. with no delay. And that will be that Zoom call that we will have first of next week. With all, it is a healthy Thursday. Let's hope for a healthy Friday and through the weekend as well as we enjoy our Montana, what would we say, advent of summer. Thank you all for attending, and any questions, more things will be coming with in the agenda coming forward. Thank you all. Enjoy your weekend.